Are you ready? Yes? Right. Webcasting. I'd like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet or filmed, will be capable of repeated viewings or another use by such third parties. Therefore, by entering the conference suite and using the seating area, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and or training purposes. Please could I remind members of the public who have registered to speak that they will be admitted to the meeting at the appropriate time. So my name is Joanne Sherbania. I'm chairman and I'll be a voting chairman. Welcome also to councillors and members of the public. I'd like to introduce our Principal Planning Officer, Graham Courtney, and our Democratic Services Officer, Jackie Lather. Also our webcasting team, and Laura, who will be working on the Zoom. Item 2, advice to public and speakers attending the Council Planning Subcommittees. Read page 5 to 8. Item 3, minutes. We have to... Before I go to the minutes, minutes. Can I just say that I'm going to nominate Councillor Annika Patel as my vice chair tonight. I'd like a seconder. Councillor Pond, thank you. So we have two speakers, Councillor Stephen Neville.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in terms of the minutes, it comes to the code of to the declarations of interest. It says here at point C that I declared an interest in EPF 03392146 Russell Road. No, I did not. I know when I declared it, it was quite late on in the meeting, but it was actually EPF 2442/20179 Queen's Road, and I believe somebody else also, I think Councillor Patel also declared an interest in that, and that's not even here. Thank you.
Yes, Chairman, I also declared a non-pecuniary interest in that item. As I know the existing tenant.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Yes, we've taken. Due to your email, Councillor Neville, Vivian has taken the monitoring officer's advice, and declarations should not be given late or after business of an item. And I do believe that you gave your apologies after the item had been concluded. And apologies to Councillor Patel that she left you off completely. But it will be rectified.
Righto, Madam Chairman, this is a different one. Page 12, condition number 1, as reported in the minutes, doesn't make sense. The building operations hereby permitted shall be demolished. I think some words have been missed out, so perhaps that could be referred back to the planning officers to suggest something that does make sense.
Thank you. Any other comments on the minutes? Right. Item 4, apologies for absence.
Yes, Chairman, I have apologies from Councillor Williamson, Councillor Joggia, Councillor Brooks, Lyon, Sunger, Councillor Murray and Councillor Heap.
Thank you.
And Councillor Roberts.
Thank you.
Item 5, declarations of interest. None? 6, any other business?
No other business, Chairman.
And item 7, to be noted. Item 8, site visits. Members are reminded that for the duration of the coronavirus pandemic, as decided at the group leaders meeting of the 24th of June 2020, no member site visits will be conducted. Therefore, any planning application deferred for a site visit at an area plan subcommittee will be automatically referred to the District Development Management Committee for determination. So we go on to our planning application, item 9, for EFP/0166/2140 Westbury Lane, Buckhurst-Hill, IG9 5PA. Details on page 13.
Thank you, Chairman. So this application relates to a two-storey side and rear extension, extended pitch roof, alterations to the front drive and crossover, removal of the existing conservatory and utility room, and some other external alterations. The application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions, and is here today due to an objection from the Parish Council. Along with 4 neighbouring residents. So this application is a revision following 2 previously refused proposals, both of which were refused due to the impacts on number 8 Westbury Lane, which can be seen here, this property here. The previous revised scheme removed a side dormer and moved the proposed first floor extension away from that neighbour. However, it was determined that the ground floor extension was would still cause harm to this neighbour. This latest revision has reduced the depth of the single-storey extension. So the existing rear conservatory and utility room, which is built to the shared boundary, you can just see it here, with number 38, would be removed as part of this proposal. Here you can see the relationship with both neighbours, this one being number 38 and this one being number 42. There is and has not previously been any concerns around the impact on number 42 due to the depth of this two-storey neighbour, as can be seen here. This shows the views of the application site from the garden of number 38. All right. This is a view from the neighbour's first floor window. There were no previous reasons for refusal regarding the impact on the street scene, and it's still considered that the design and appearance of the proposal would be acceptable. We're going to come on to that next. So this here shows the existing and proposed elevational plans. The side extension here would continue to be subordinate when viewed from the front. The rear, whilst the rear extension is a little more disjointed, it is considered to be of an appropriate scale and design. The existing and proposed floor plans shown here demonstrate the potential impact on the neighbour and does include the 45-degree line from the nearest neighbouring windows, this one being first floor and this one being ground floor. The reduction in depth of the ground floor rear extension, which is this section here, from 5 metres to 4 metres, along with the previous revisions that have been carried through to this proposal, are considered sufficient enough to overcome the previous reason for refusal, and it is considered that this would not result in any undue harm to the amenities of the neighbour. As such, the application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you. We have a speaker on this application. John Reid, And just to remind you that you have 3 minutes to present your issue.
Hello, John. Can you unmute?
We can hear absolutely nothing.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, we haven't been able to hear anything that's been said so far at all.
Then we'll go
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. We're looking for a technical fix.
So shall I? I've already asked.
Okay,
for
so
the
should I
speaker.
read my
So
statement or
shall we
not?
give him 3 minutes?
Yes, if you could. You've got 3 minutes.
Will people be able to hear it?
People can hear you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we most strongly object, along with numbers 34, 36 and 42 Westbury Lane, to these plans for a double-storey and roof extension to number 40 Westbury Lane. Similar plans have already been rejected twice by Epping Forest District
Miss-
Council, and with only minor
Excuse- can you
amendments
hear me?
made on the third application.
Could you hold?
Right, thank you. Well, can I propose that we have a recess for 10 minutes as we need to work out why the technology is not working properly. Can we have a show of hands for agreed? That looks like everyone. Thank you very much.
Can someone they wouldn't have been captured either.
They are captured, it's only for Zoom that's a problem. It's not for everyone in the room and it's not for the webcast. So it's about this actual planning application that we're dealing with. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to resume the meeting and
Do you want to check if they can hear on the, do you want to check afterwards?
can we check that everyone can hear? Yes? Okay. Graham, could you repeat the presentation, please?
Of course, Chair. Yep, no problem. Right, so this application relates to a two-storey side and rear extension, extended pitched roof, alterations to the front drive and crossover, removal of the existing conservatory and utility room, and some other external alterations. The application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions, and is here today due to an objection from the Parish Council along with 4 neighbouring residents. This application is a revision following 2 previously refused proposals, both of which were refused due to impacts on number 38 Westbury Lane, which is this property here. The previous revised scheme removed a side dormer and moved the proposed first floor extension away from that neighbour. However, it was still determined that the ground floor extension would cause loss of harm, would cause harm to this neighbour. This latest revision has reduced the depth of the single-storey extension from 5 metres to 4 metres. The existing rear conservatory and utility room, which can just be seen here on the edge of the photograph, which is built to the shared boundary with number 38, would be removed as part of this proposal. Here you can see the relationship with both neighbours, this one being number 38 and this one being number 42. There is and has not previously been any concern around the impact of number 42, apologies, due to the depth of this two-storey neighbouring dwelling. Here you can see views of the application site from the garden of number 38. And this is the view from the neighbour's first floor window. There were no previous reasons for refusal regarding the impact on the street scene, and it is still considered that the design and appearance of the proposal would be acceptable. So this shows the existing and proposed elevational plans. The side extension, which can be seen here, would continue to be subordinate when viewed from the front, whilst the rear extension, apologies, over here, whilst the rear extension is a little bit more disjointed, it is considered to be of an appropriate scale and design. So this is the existing and proposed floor plans. This demonstrates the potential impact on the neighbour and does include, you can just see here, the 45-degree lines from this is the ground floor window here, and this one here is the closest first floor window. So the reduction in depth is to this ground floor extension here. It's reduced from 5 metres to 4 metres. So this reduction, along with the previous revisions that have been carried through to this proposal, are considered sufficient enough to overcome the previous reason for refusal and would not result in any undue harm to the amenities of the neighbour. As such, the application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions. Back.
Thank you. So we can go back to our speaker, John Reid, and just to remind you that you have 3 minutes. John Reid, can you hear? Can you
try speaking?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. We most strongly object, along with numbers 34, 36 and 42 Westbury Lane, to these plans for a double-storey and roof extension to number 40 Westbury Lane. Similar plans have already been rejected twice by Epping Forest District Council, and with only minor amendments made on this third application, we believe the same grounds for rejection remain. The Planning Services Director refused permission in January 2021 on the following grounds: by reason of its depths, siting and differing land levels, the proposed rear extension will appear as overbearing and cause loss of outlook and increased sense of enclosure when viewed from the rear windows and garden of number 38 Westbury Lane. As such, the proposal is detrimental to the living conditions of the occupants of this property. We believe every word of this statement still applies to the latest version of the plans, as only very minor amendments have been made. The only revision at the rear of number 40 appears to be a small reduction to the single-storey extension on the side of number 38. It's important to remember that Westbury Lane is a hill and number 40 already sits approximately 1 metre above us at number 38 and is set further back from the road than our property by approximately 2.5 metres, which is most noticeable at the rear of the properties. The angle line used states dressing room. However, this is actually the third bedroom on the first floor of number 38. Using this window as an angle line from the proposed ground floor extension accentuates the difference in height between our properties. We do not understand why the angle line has not been taken from our ground floor kitchen window, which would show the single-storey extension is too large and overbearing. This means any double-storey extension would be dramatically overbearing and oppressive on our property, resulting in significant loss of light and privacy. We believe the proposed plans constitute overdevelopment, which is out of keeping with the area. It also has to remember this house has already been extended by the previous owners, who added 4 extra rooms to the property. There's no precedent for such double-storey extensions on any other property in our vicinity. We would strongly recommend that before making a final decision, the members of the committee visit our property and see firsthand the effect that the proposed work would have on the adjoining properties. We're at a loss to understand how Planning Officer Brendan Mead, having strong reasons to reject the previous applications, and with no changes addressing these issues, can now say that he would recommend granting permission. We are confident that these plans still do not comply with Epping Forest District Council's policies DBE2, DBE9 and DBE10, and as such we trust that the committee will make the correct decision and not allow this extension to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have another speaker, the applicant's agent, Pamela Merritt.
We can't hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear now?
You can hear now?
Okay, I'm on mute.
Yes. Okay. Can we go to the
Merit
next?
Designs.
Yes, I've unmuted you. Sorry, I can speak now? Yes, right.
Pamela Merritt, you
Oh,
have
good.
3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and councillors, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Our scheme proposes to increase the volume of the property on the first floor and roof level adjacent to number 42 Westbury Lane. This is 1 metre from the flank of number 42 and across part of the rear of the house. The ground floor of 42 currently exists is a long flank, and the upper floors of our proposed extension, due to the juxtaposition of the properties, will not run past number 42 to either front or rear, although number 42 has objected. We do not consider number 42 will be affected by our proposal. The first floor extension is also 6.9 metres from the boundary with number 38 and will not overshadow number 38. On the side of the house adjacent to number 38 Westbury Lane, we've been aware from the commencement that number 40 runs past number 38 and number 38 is at a lower level. And we have worked with the planning officer here over several applications to mitigate any effects on number 38. I do also note that the bedroom referred as number 3 is a dressing room on the plans approved for number 38. Our rear extension proposed on that side is 2 metres from the common boundary and has always been this distance from that boundary. A high fence and planting exists on that line and will be retained. The current proposed single-storey 4-metre rear extension on that side has been reduced in height to an eaves height of 2 metres now, which is well below that which might be allowed in other circumstances if we were considering the use of permitted development allowances. The planning officer notes this in his report. That would make a side extension taller than this. We consider that the extension adjacent to number 38, now due to the distance from the boundary, lowered eaves and the high fence line on that boundary will not affect or overshadow number 38 in any respect. There's also been concerned about much of the front garden foliage being removed and the central bed being removed. This was undertaken due to poor visibility backing into Westbury Lane, which is a one-way street. However, the central bed is now being retained and a suitable small tree and planting will be reinstated. We trust you can, following these reductions and modifications, grant permission, please. Thank you for all your time.
Thank you. Can I take this application for discussion by members, please? Councillor Patel.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm the ward councillor for where this application site is. Just a few questions to Mr. Courtney, just to clarify a couple of the points that have been raised by the objector. He's made reference to the previous application that was refused. My understanding is, looking at the plans that have been presented this evening and the previous plans, is the bone of contention here is really between is on the elevation of number 40 and number 38, and it's the rear extension at ground and at first floor level. Can you confirm the difference between this application and the application that was previously refused? My understanding is that, other than that difference, it's the same footprint and design that was previously submitted.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the objector did read it out, but I'll just quickly read the previous, the most recent reason for refusal on the previous application was, by reason of its depth, siting and differing land levels, the proposed single-storey rear extension will appear as overbearing and cause a loss of outlook and increased sense of enclosure when viewed from the rear window and garden areas of number 38 Westbury Lane. As such, the proposal is detrimental to the living conditions of the occupants of this property and is contrary to policies DBE 2, DBE 9 and DBE 10 from the local plan and alterations, policies DM 9 and DM 10 from the Epping Forest District Local Plan Submission version, and the MPPF. So if I can just, sorry. So the only difference in this revision is to that single-storey extension, which is this part of the proposal here, and that's been reduced in depth. Previously it was 5 metres and ran along the same line as this part of the development here, and it's in this revision it's been reduced. It is worth pointing out that this is a second revision, so the original the revision prior to the previous refusal, sorry, apologies, the previous revised proposal did make other revisions. There was the first floor extension has been stepped away from number 38, and so there's a removal of a side dormer, so that there are other revisions that were made prior to this case. It wasn't felt by plan officers that they had gone far enough in the previous application, and we still had concerns, but at that point the only concern left was with this part of the development, the single-storey extension here. So yeah, I can confirm the revisions on this proposal to the previous refusal is simply setting this back ever so slightly further.
Chairman, if I may come back.
Yes.
So, can you, Mr. Courtney, can you please remind me, based on our planning policies, what is the calculation that's used from line of sight from ground floor and at first floor level, please?
Well, I think you're referring to the 45-degree rule here. I mean, it's not technically part of policy, but it is a sort of a generally understood rule of thumb for assessing impacts in terms of certainly. It's partially light, partially visual impacts, but yeah, the 45-degree rule is a sort of standard industrial guidance or industry guidance. So obviously that's what they've shown here. I think what the objector was saying was about these windows, what these windows are. I believe that this window here is the ground floor kitchen window. But I technically may be wrong about that, but it's only because this is the ground floor plan, so it would make sense that that is the ground floor window. However, it does actually appear that this window, which I assumed was the first floor window, actually appears to be the second floor window, which is the sort of slightly set back dormer. And I actually think that looking at the plans again, the first floor window would probably be roughly sort of here. So obviously the 45-degree line would actually be further out than that. So that's kind of almost the worst case scenario there, which is the dormer that's set slightly into the roof. But yeah, that's what these are showing. That's the sort of 45-degree rule. And as you can see, the plans are showing that the ground floor extension is outside of that ground floor 45-degree line, and certainly the upper story extensions are well outside of the upper story 45-degree line. and that's why officers felt that the previous revisions and this revision have now gone far enough to overcome those concerns.
Just one final question that I have. So at ground floor and at first floor level, we've reached that. This application meets the measures that we use. Can I just confirm the height differential between the two properties, please, to gauge the impact that number 40 the greater impact number 40 will have on number 38, please?
I'm not actually sure I've got, I mean, on here you can see on the plans the height difference, which are sort of shown here. The best way to see that is the eaves heights here. You can see the eaves are actually lower on the neighbour than they are on the application site. That's almost the best sort of visual indication of that difference in height. Let me just have a look, because I haven't got in my notes what the difference is, but I'm going to just have a look, see whether there was any mention in the officer's report of the difference in land levels. If you bear with me just a second. Apologies. No, I'm not seeing any reference to the difference in land levels, so I don't know the exact measurement.
I believe the objector made reference to 1 metre.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems about right. Again, let me just flick back to the photographs. So again, you can kind of see here. I mean, obviously this is at an angle, so but you can see the difference in the eaves heights here. So yeah, about 1 metre. Certainly, looking at the plans and the photographs, sounds like it could be about right.
Okay, so I think based on the previous grounds for refusal and what's been presented this evening, and I think I'll be supporting this application.
Thank you. Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chairman. I just had a quick question. The ground floor, if it was done under a permitted development, would be allowed, is that correct? If it was just ground floor only?
If it was just ground floor, yes, it would, at 4 metres on a detached house. That's right.
Councillor Wixley.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just feel, perhaps for future reference, when the height levels are mentioned between the two properties, if we get similar cases like that, I think it would be useful to have like a street scene view of that, either as a drawing or perhaps even a sort of photograph. That would, I think, be useful if that could be taken on board. But the actual question I've got about this, I think you referred to a utility room, which is, from what I could see, is going to be demolished and actually goes right up to the boundary with number 38. Is that correct?
Yes, the utility room, as existing, is this small structure here. So if we go, it's here, this part here. That at the moment infills between the two houses and is built right up to the boundary. That would be removed, as you can see here, and that whole sideway would actually be opened up and clear of buildings. I'm just going to quickly come back on the point you made about the street scene. I mean, obviously we do ask for street scenes on a number of applications, including things like this, and obviously that is shown here. That is the existing street scene, and that's the proposed street scene. And actually, quite helpfully, they have shown on the elevation here the neighbour. I actually think what would be useful, and something I will take back to officers tomorrow, is that when there's a land level difference, that we should be noting down the actual difference in the report, so it's very clear what that difference is. Because as much as it's shown on the plan, you asked me that question, and sitting here today, I can't measure that. So I think that would be actually very useful to have, and I'll take that back.
I'm back again. I just wonder if there's some benefit to number 38 by virtue of the fact that the utility room is going to be demolished, because there is a greater separation between the properties, but I think they're just walls either side. Perhaps they're not getting much benefit from that, but I would have thought that would be one possible plus in these new plans.
I didn't think that wanted a response, but yeah, I mean, certainly we've taken on board the fact that they are seeking to remove the utility room and also the conservatory, which, although single story and obviously being replaced by a two-story structure, that you can see on here, the conservatory at the moment actually comes further into the site, albeit it's set quite a distance away from both neighbours, so I don't really think the existing conservatory probably has that much impact, but that obviously is being removed, and that wall's coming back, and as you say, the utilities coming out and opening that up. So they are the sort of benefits of that.
You want to come back again?
Yeah, does that, would this have any effect on permitted development rights? Is this the limit to what can happen without a fresh planning application?
Without looking at every single right, I can't say for definite, but certainly I can't see that they would be able to do much else if they built this out. I mean, obviously any rear extensions have to be off the original rear wall, which has now, obviously if they build this out, would be lost. And obviously if they did, there are applications such as prior approvals for even larger single-story extensions. They couldn't put anything like that on if it's attached to the existing, because that would make it unlawful. So I think if this were approved, there wouldn't be much, if anything, they could probably do under permitted development.
Thank you.
Aside from outbuildings and, that sort of things.
Okay, Councillor Kaufmann, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Exactly my point. I think if we have the power within this committee to remove future permitted development rights or whatever we can do to say that's that, I'm not sure if we can do in an instance like this, but I think we have got the ability to remove that. So I think that's what we should consider. I was just looking at the conditions which seem reasonable, because I don't like sort of flat roof extensions, so no access to the flat roof. Are the materials to match what's existing? So it says match existing building. Yeah. Okay, I think we should remove any future permitted development rights within the scope of this committee if this were to be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Jennings, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I just wanted to check something with the planning officer. I think you said rear extensions have to come off the existing rear wall of the property. Is that correct?
No, it's measured from the original rear wall. So the original rear wall on this property, it's on my laptop, it's not as easy to flick between things. So the original rear wall of the property would actually be sort of this wall here. So if they, the standard here would be if they wanted to build a 4 metre deep single-storey rear extension under permitted development, it would only be off of that wall, which if they build this is already done anyway. So they couldn't build a 4 metre extension off of this wall. That wouldn't be permitted.
Thank you. Well, I think we can take this application to a formal vote. Just to add to that, with Councillor Kaufmann's recommendation for development rights permitted. Yes, Andrew Marks, please.
Can you unmute Andrew?
Yeah, sorry, Laura. Please remember when your microphone is down there, then we can hear the members, but when it's not, we can't. So, what I was going to suggest is there's no problem if that was Councillor Kaufman's question, removing the Class A PD rights, which is for rear and side extensions, if that's what members wish to do, and also there is a possibility to put a planning condition on that requires the demolition of the utility room to the side before completion of the proposed extensions, if members are minded to require that as well.
Yes, so with that condition, would you, what is it? Yeah, with the condition. So based on the condition that Mr. Marks has just stated, we can now take this application to the formal vote.
Members, this application is going to be done by roll call. I'll call out your name and then you just say if you're for, against or abstaining. Councillor Baldwin.
Abstain.
Councillor Bannett.
No. In favour.
Councillor Jennings.
Abstain.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Abstain.
Councillor Kaufman.
It's such a marginal one. Abstain.
Councillor Mead.
For.
Councillor Neville.
For.
Councillor Nweke.
I think I'll abstain as well.
Sorry.
Abstain.
Councillor Owen.
I'm for.
Councillor Patel.
Councillor Patel for.
Councillor Chris Pond.
Abstain.
Councillor Caroline Pond.
Grant.
Councillor Riz. Can you turn your microphone, please?
For.
Sorry, is that Councillor Risby?
Councillor Isby for.
Councillor Wixley.
For.
And Councillor Cher-Bernier.
4.
Right, that is 9 for, none against, and 6 abstentions.
So that application has been agreed. Next application. EPF/0320/21, 20 Algiers Close Loughton, IG10 4NH.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
So this application proposes a single-storey rear extension to a ground floor flat in Algers Close. It is recommended for approval, subject to conditions, and is being put to committee due to an objection from the Town Council and the neighbour at number 15 Algers Road, which is, where's my pointer? This one here. The proposal would be situated to the rear of an existing purpose-built ground floor flat. The concerns raised by number 15 Algers Road include impacts on their and other neighbours' amenities, through loss of light and possible noise and disturbance. So just, you can see, so this is 15 Algers Road, and the proposed extension is to this property here, or just here. Concerns have also been raised by the neighbour and the Town Council about the visual impact of the proposal and the loss of symmetry. So the proposed extension is a modest addition, measuring just 2.3 metres in depth. It is situated to the rear and would not be particularly visible from within the street scene. The site is not situated within a conservation area, nor is it considered to be a heritage asset. The proposed extension is simple in design, but it is considered to be appropriate to this building. The extension is of minimal size in terms of its depth and height. It's set away from all side boundaries, including that shared with number 15 Algers Road, and is not considered to cause any harm to the amenities of the surrounding residents. As such, the proposal is recommended for approval, subject to conditions. Back to you, councillors.
Members? Councillor? Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm one of the ward councillors for Forest Ward, so I'll just say a few words on this one. I did go to have a look at the property, and this is a small block of flats. I think it may be circa 1930s, but it is a period property, and there are no other extensions of any kind, as far as I could see, to the rear of the block. There are actually, I think, some fire escapes, and I would like to clarify with the officer whether this extension would in any way impact on the fire escapes. In terms of actually things like symmetry and styling, I do think this would adversely affect the rear of those properties. As I say, they are period properties, and I do think would have an adverse impact. Definitely, I do agree with the objection from number 15 that it would be out of character. And another cause for concern, I think it would set a dangerous precedent for other flats to follow suit. I think it's been dealt with, hasn't it, by condition about the access to the roof of the property. There's also the issue with the loss of garden. Lots of gardens, lots of green space, and I do also agree it would be a loss of amenity space for other residents. And so for those reasons, I am having difficulty supporting this, and look forward to hearing comments from other councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pond.
Yes, well, Algers Close was built in 1938. And it was perhaps the most notorious piece of backland development in Loughton, because the house number 15, if you look at the plan on page 21, its garden went back exactly the same length as number 17's. So this was the sort of development, if it were an application to develop it now, I would be arguing very strongly against. But having said that, it's been there since 1939, when it was first occupied. I think what is proposed is minimal. I don't think it would have a really deleterious effect on the amenities of the retained Victorian house, very beautiful house, number 15. So I think this is a really, although I take the point which Councillor Baldwin has made as the ward councillor, I think this is really a de minimis application. And were it not flats, but a private dwelling house, I think this would fall within PDR, but the officer may contradict me on that. So on the whole, although I sympathise with the objections, I don't think they're enough to kill it.
Thank you. Councillor Patel.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I clarify, are there any other extensions of similar nature on our disclosed?
No, there aren't. And just to come back on the other point, unfortunately, what we have at the moment isn't unfortunately the clearest, but I can just about see on here that there is, these are the fire escapes. It's just here that was being referred to earlier. So there is that on the back, but no, there are no other extensions. But I can confirm that if it was a private residential dwelling house, then something like this would certainly come under permitted development.
Councillor Wixley.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just on the permitted development. I thought it was 3 metres, and this is actually only 2.3 metres in depth. Is that something to do with the relationship with the length of the garden there? That was one question. And the other issue is that there's very little in this report on measurements. And I think the person at number 15 is objecting on the grounds of loss of light. I think I read that, but I can't see that this single-storey development is that high, but it would be interesting to know how high it is.
I'll answer the easy question first. The permitted development rights are they'd be an up to, it's a maximum. So if this was obviously we're talking hypotheticals here, but if this was a private dwelling house, then they could, if it was a attached dwelling house, then they could go up to 3 metres, but obviously they can go less than that if they like. I assume it's been mentioned about the loss of the amenity space here. It is assumed that's why the applicants have kept this fairly minimal, because obviously they don't have a huge amount of amenity space. So obviously the more they take up, the larger the extension, the less amenity space they have. So I assume that they've sort of looked at balancing to balance this out, that it's a small extension but keeping some of the amenity space as well.
Yes.
Yeah. What I'm asking is, I'm a bit curious as to why it's come to a planning committee in the first place, if it's under the 3 metres.
Yeah, there isn't. Unfortunately, permitted development rights are only for dwelling houses. So
right.
because it's a flat, they can't do this under permitted development.
Okay.
That's why it's a hypothetical.
Any other questions? So that application, well, we can take that application to the formal vote.
Madam Chairman, I suggest we do it by acclamation rather than
Suggest we do it by, sorry, I missed that.
Trouble is, Councillor Pond, I can't see you all to count. I'll go as quick as I can. Councillor Baldwin.
Thank you.
In favour.
Councillor Bob Jennings.
Against.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Abstain.
Councillor Kaufman.
Approve.
Councillor Mead.
For.
Councillor Neville.
For.
Councillor Nweke.
Approve.
Councillor Owen. Councillor Patel. Councillor Chris Pond. Councillor Caroline Pond.
For.
Councillor Risby.
For.
Councillor Wixley.
4.
Councillor Sher-Bernier.
4.
That's 12 for, 1 against and 2 abstentions. Sorry, I got that round the wrong way. 2 against and 1 abstention.
So that application has been agreed. And that's the last application of the evening. I want to say thank you very much to officers and councillors and have a good journey home.